Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hilltop Sports Report podcast. My name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, your host, and on this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be joined by the head men's basketball coach here on the Hilltop, Dave Schlabaugh, entering his 8th season at the helm. Without further ado, let's hit the music and start the show.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
So as I mentioned in my introduction, head coach Dave Schlabaugh is my very special guest on this episode of the podcast. So first of all, coach, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Jack, it's great to get on with you. Like everything, we appreciate all you do for everything here at Cornell, and to do it at your age, it just means you're setting yourself up for a good career, and it'll be fun to follow you when you leave here as well.
Well, I appreciate it so much. It's so fun to follow all these teams and support them here on the Hilltop. So speaking of your men's basketball program, going into your 8th season at the helm, lots of talent on this team going into the 2024-2025 campaign. Lots of returning scorers from this previous season's team as well. What are your expectations going into Friday's home opener against Coe College?
Well, we hopefully that we're ready to go. We try to keep it somewhat simple this time of year, but we're ready to compete as well. So I think we feel like we've had enough time getting ready for it. Now it's time to have a good week of practice, and then this is why we do it. You get a chance to work hard in the fall. You start on the 15th, and then you finally get to where there's some competition too. And I think that's the outcome that you're looking for. Just finally have an opportunity to play someone different than who you practice against every night.
Absolutely. And then going against this Coe College team, obviously it's a huge rivalry no matter the season. But under this season's microscope, they're going to have a new head coach. So going into this season, what are you seeing from the Cohawks without revealing too many of your trade secrets? Maybe just some general things of the theme of the rivalry in the Bremner Cup.
I mean, I've known their old coach forever. I recruited him to Morningside College. My son played for him. I know the new coach. He was my assistant 4 or 5 years ago. So we know everybody. We know we know everybody. We got a lot of respect for their program, and it's a deal. It's our first game, so that's what we're excited to lead into, and we know it'll be a good game. It seems like Cornell always has good battles, and so that'll be something the fans can look at. But we're just trying to get better every day this time of year.
All right, so going into your 8th season at the helm, obviously there's been some highs, some lows, and in-betweens so far in your career here at the Hilltop. So going into this season specifically, what are some of the things that last season you'd like for this team to build on, and some expectations for 2024, 2025?
Well, I mean, we weren't very good last year. We weren't good enough. Great kids that we had great effort most every night, but I think this is a chance for us to hit reset a little bit and just try to be a little bit more competitive. I don't think we ended the year or finished in the conference anywhere where we wanted to, and so I think that probably has a whole off season to sit and marinate a little bit, and I think we're just ready to come out, and each year's a new season, and you can't worry too much about yesterday. You can only think about today and tomorrow. And so, I guess what's happened in the past, whether it be last year or some of the teams we've had a little bit, that were better. That's yesterday's news. So I think this team has a new personality. I think every team, Jack, that you get has. I always tell my guys, it's like, I'm always going to have another team. As a coach, you just always get another team. But the team that we're put together, the team that's getting ready to go, it's for the seniors, it's their last time. For the other kids, it's either their first year, their second or third year. But every team takes its own kind of dynamic. It writes its own story, and so we're looking forward to tell a story that's worth repeating. And by doing that, you just got to compete every night, and you got to have kind of trust what you're working with. What we do. And everybody's got to trust each other. I think if we can put all those things together, we got a chance to have a really good year.
Absolutely. And a couple of the seniors here on this version of Cornell men's basketball, Jaden Meeker and Zach Engel, your 2 top scorers a season ago, they both return and figure to be a huge impact on this year's team too. Starting with Jaden first. What are you expecting from him this season, and what have you seen from him in his career?
Well, absolutely. I mean, both Jaden and Zach have been great players in our program. They played meaningful minutes as freshmen on our NCAA team. Second team all conference players as sophomores, as juniors. Zach was second team, Jaden was first team. So they have some pedigree. I mean, they're bringing back obviously some successes. I think each one of them would say that they're far from a finished product. I feel they look better. I think they're doing more things, more consistent things. And so, yeah, we're absolutely going to be leaning on both those guys to continue without pressure, but to continue and probably cap off really good careers here at Cornell. But to do that, you've got to be locked in, ready to roll as a senior. And I like where they're at. And things that we want them to be better at is just maybe a little bit more vocal, continue to lead. Both are great guys, maybe kind of quiet, both of them sometimes. So we need a little bit more of that out of them. But I would expect that they'll come ready to play this season, and I really look forward to see what we can get out of them as seniors.
Absolutely. So now from familiar faces in the program to some unfamiliar faces. There's a lot of new players on this version of Cornell men's basketball, specifically Arnav Jain transferring into the program. You have a few other transfers as well. So talk about that new life that's been brought in the program from this offseason.
Yeah, I wouldn't jump to any new guys until I talk about some of these other guys. I mean, Dylan Hurley started every game for us last year, and he's a heck of a player. I think we're looking at a more healthy version of him from a year ago. Absolutely love his toughness, his leadership. I just think he's a good basketball player. I think he's a really good basketball player. Nate Jacobson's back. He came to us at Christmas time last year, had a really good second half for us. Then you got guys like Jax Herring and Julian Clary. The leadership we get from Trey Tothrow or Braxton Beard or, Connor. It's just we just got a really good group. We've got 11 seniors, and so we're asking for a lot of those guys. And I think the cool thing with these guys is, it's going to be hard to play 11 seniors. It's going to be hard to play, we've got some other guys who are probably going to get some time, but you wouldn't know that how they prepare. Anybody on our team, we got 28 guys on the team, and they're all coming to practice every day trying to be the best in their role. Hopefully we do a good job of defining roles with all of our guys. But when you have a role, you just got to excel in it. And again, it's, I go back, I bring his name up all the time to my guys. James Stimson's one of the greatest leaders I've ever had. And I think he played 32 minutes for me last year. And so we always talk about the fact that, leadership really has nothing to do with minutes played or points scored. It has everything to do about the professional approach you take to everything you do. And we knew he was buttoned down on everything he did. And that brought such value to the team. So we're looking for guys to have impacts like he had, and I think everybody should be a better player they are today than they were a year ago. So we're also looking for some gains on that end. So the returners, at the end of the year, Noah Williams was playing a lot for us. Ben Kamak had played some ball for us in the past, and so those guys are sophomores. Max Markgraf. So, we have some guys back with some experience. You think, I'll probably forget some seniors, but you got Wallace Schmolzer that played a lot for us last year. I mean, there's a whole list of guys that just bring tremendous value to our program. Giannis, it could go on and on. I hate to even rattle off names because I might miss a couple, but the 11 seniors know how important they are to both the team and to myself, and it's pretty cool coaching a group of guys that are selfless like that. New people, I mean, you got to earn it every day. Yeah, we have 3 transfers now. 3 transfers, 6 freshmen. Never forget the saying that sometimes freshmen don't know what they don't know. I think we have a little bit of that every day. But, man, I love getting in the gym with those guys every day, and I think they've got a bright future ahead of them. Really like the effort they're putting in. Have no complaints with 3 transfers. You'd mentioned Arnav Jain, Caleb Leslie, and then Jalen Bradbury. So JB. So we've got 3 guys that hopefully we can find a way to use them a little bit this year too. I think they can I think that can help us. And but you never know until it starts going. So we're really looking forward to just cleaning this thing up and just getting a little bit more consistent with our preparation as the week goes on, and not pointing to Friday being, we want this thing to just get better. And most good teams are better in December than they were in November, better in February than they were in January. So I think that's something that we're trying to get to for sure.
Absolutely. So going into your philosophy as far as this year's team, if you don't want to go into this, that's totally fine. But maybe how deep do you expect your bench to be this season? Obviously, you'll have your starting five, but how deep do you think you're going to go on the bench depending on going into conference?
That's a good question, Jack. So I think in a perfect world, you would try to play, 9, 10 guys. I think we would like to. There's probably competition a lot deeper than that. But again, it's kind of hard to play 15, kind of hard to play 16.
Unless you're Grinnell.
And completely have a system built around that. So we've got to put guys on the floor that are going to be productive. We talk about that every day. Like you that's what you got to bring to the table. If it's minutes, then they've got to be minutes that are winning basketball, productive pieces. But it's always a puzzle. Where we're at today might change. I wouldn't say drastically, but I think we're always finessing that a little bit. And so I would guess 8 to 10, probably for sure, Jack.
Absolutely. So now going into your coaching staff, talking about that for a little bit. Obviously, your son, Jack Schlabaugh, is an assistant on your staff, but you also have Daniel Burford as well, who played in your program. Now he's an assistant for you. So talk about what those guys mean to you.
Well, we've got a great staff, and and I'm lucky to have my son with me for 100 reasons. Special, if anybody gets the old man, it's the old ball coach. It's going to be my son. Played for me in high school. When I can get a little bit, I might get a little sideways sometimes with some guys. I mean, I might bring a little energy on practice on occasion, and I always like to tell them, like, if you think that's getting chewed on, ask that guy over there, because there's nobody that got chewed on more than he did growing up for probably two things. He was a point guard and he was my son. So, but he's been with me since he's, little dude all over the country. Wherever we were going for basketball, he was right there with me. Him and my son Gabe. And it's just, he's one step ahead of knowing what we need some days. Takes things off the table that I don't need to worry about. He really gets at a high level, and guys like him. He's super organized. Daniel Burford, he's amazing. I mean, he's had a chance to go to med school, but I think he's always got that in his. I think he loves coaching. I know he loves coaching. So he's working. He's got a great job. Busts his butt to get over here as much as he can to coach. Just as a player, he's like one of the most high IQ basketball guys I've ever had. He'd be at the top of the list there, and so he brings that perspective. He also gets me. He knows what we like, knows what we want. He comes off our NCAA team. He was a freshman class, kind of similar to this class, a really big class that stayed with us all the way through. Had to play a bunch of them when they were super young. We were just okay. We had to play probably too many of them too early. But by the time they were seniors, that class was the senior class in the NCAA tournament. So we know the value that he brings. Then we're super lucky that we have Mamadou Diallo. He's Snow Valley basketball camp's a big deal in my world. I've ran that, and Coach Don Showalter owns it. It's one of the biggest high school, or it's one of the biggest basketball camps in the country, if not the biggest overnight camp in the country. And so Mamadou is an LA guy that's worked for us for years. Ended up through Snow Valley getting on at Ripon for 4 or 5 years. And he was at another college last year. And we had a little opening this fall. He jumped over with us. And so that's been great. Good guy. Does just a super good job around our guys. And then we've got Ryan Allen, who, because of a busy class schedule and a lot of other things, a busy life, getting ready to prepare himself to go to med school, is helping us as more as a student assistant than a player this year. Great high school player in Arkansas, great family, just amazing young guy. And he has been like super invaluable to us, helping us in the office every day. And then Trey Tothrow kind of takes a dual role. And I love Trey, and he's going to be a great coach down the road. So Trey helps us both being on the floor, but then yet he is kind of the conduit to some of the scouting stuff, always kind of keeping the guys going in the right direction, brings a lot of leadership from 100 different directions. So pretty blessed to have the staff that we do.
That's fantastic. Just love to see basketball season here on the Hilltop, and love that the family culture that you have been able to instill here with the program. If you don't mind, let's go into that family culture and how important it is for you to not only have the results out there on the court, but to build a band of brothers in this Cornell men's basketball program.
Absolutely. I've got to step away sometimes and just think. You can't always think about the outcomes. A lot of immediate reactions, I can be guilty of it, is just the immediate results of what are going on around you. And sometimes you just got to pull yourself back a little bit and go, it's a much bigger picture. I've been fortunate. I've coached at some great places. I've coached some great guys. I've coached for a long time. I've been blessed. And we've been in some big games in a lot of places I've been. I can't tell you what the final score was of hardly any game, but I can tell you some of the funny things that happen on the bus or in the vans or in practice or maybe at a team dinner. I can tell you about some of the tough things that we've had to help people through, or how they've been there for other people within the program. I remember all those details like it was yesterday. Don't necessarily always remember scores. I remember how our teams did and how we, the journey took us wherever we were going to go. But the stories within the family probably hold with me at a lot higher level than probably the wins and losses. I definitely remember that as well. Let's not kid ourselves there. But I definitely believe my memories of the guys, and just not always game related, probably more so not game related, is just pretty cool. And to think that this is what I get to do for a career. I get to have a new group of guys every year. And then I get to see some of the guys come back that we've had, and that goes all the way to coaching back in Mid-Prairie or Iowa Lakes or Morningside, wherever I've been, Williamsburg. I've had some really good people play for me, and to still have a lot of those guys in a big part of my life is really why we should be doing this.
That's amazing. Now let's go back in time a little bit to your own playing career and some of the people that shaped you to become the coach that you are today. You mentioned Coach Don Showalter and what he has meant to you. If you don't mind, kind of expand on that for our podcast audience.
Well, I'm not sure I was ever much of a player. I think I was just okay. I probably wouldn't have recruited me. I know I wouldn't have recruited me, but that's kind of I'm not playing. I'm coaching. So, but I've been lucky for a coaching career, and it started with Don Showalter, who's Hall of Fame Iowa high school coach. Most all of it at Mid-Prairie High School is where I went to school. He played at Mid-Prairie, played in a state championship. When I was a kid, that was the team. I remembered everybody on that roster. And I always tell our guys that too, like it's that those Mid-Prairie teams that went to state when I was a little kid, that 15th guy was as important to me as the leading scorer. I mean, I thought they all were great basketball players. Now, in hindsight, maybe some of them were just okay. But in my world, they were all stars. And so I tell our guys, you never know who's watching. And it was really probably even more important in high school, where the middle school kids and the elementary kids are around the program a little bit more than they are in college. But you never know who's watching, and everybody has a high opinion of you because you're part of something special. So you have to do your part, and you got to represent every day. Like, you've got to do a good job of knowing that they're all watching. They're all trying to, emulate you to a certain degree or mimic the things you do. So you better put something out there good, that if they're going to try to be you, we want it to be for the right reasons. So I was lucky, to Coach Showalter got me into coaching when I was young. And I was lucky to be in a great situation at a great high school And through that opened the door for me to then go and coach in college for a while. I was lucky enough to go work for a great guy, Bob Grimm's at Iowa Lakes Community College. I was there, man. I loved it. It was fast basketball, good players, good basketball. We won a lot of games. A really cool 2 years in Esterville, Iowa, right by Okoboji. Through that, you talk family. That's where I met my wife, and so that's started that, and so that was a special time for us. And then to get another guy, Jerry Schmuddy at Morningside, which we had really good teams. Coach Schmuddy came in and he let me recruit. We had a team that went through the Elite Eight, which is hard to do on any level. I told our guys yesterday, like, we just think back to our Morningside guys, how bought in, how good they were at whatever. Didn't matter if it was 6 o'clock practice in the morning or 8 at night. Our guys were locked in, and we need that same approach here, which we've had. But we made the Elite Eight in NCAA Division II. That's tough to do at any level, and so those were memorable years. And then back into the high school scene again, and getting with Coach Showalter, and then jumping in and taking a Williamsburg job. And I think we had really good success at Williamsburg too, with great guys, great kids, and got to coach my son there as well. The only negative was when we were playing, meant my 2 daughters were playing in the opposite town, and so coaching shortchanges your family on some things sometimes, and I didn't always get to see my daughters compete. Didn't always get to see Gabe play a lot because he was at Williamsburg playing when we had games here, and so that's part of coaching, Jack. And maybe it's the toughest part is you do miss some family times. But I think my kids would always say, yeah, we didn't always go on vacation every year, but man, we got to be around a lot of cool basketball stuff. And at the end of the day, they all love that part of it too. And to this day, the family's still kind of a basketball family.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing that very cool story about your growth here at Cornell College. And going ahead to Friday, encourage everybody to stop by the Saw and be loud, be respectful. And Coach Dave will say, don't throw your toilet paper because that'll give us a tech.
I don't think we even do the toilet paper. I mean, that's, whatever. It's like we're just here to play basketball. We respect them. We're going to tee it up with them, and both teams are going to play hard, and that's not really something that that's not on my radar. So not a big deal to us. I don't think it's a big deal to any of my guys. So we're just looking forward to compete, and I think competing in anything you do is pretty special. You only get so many nights to do that. So we'll see where we're at. But man, I love these guys, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about. Just having a bunch of good people that I know are going to do great things, at their time here, and then hopefully the school and ourselves are preparing everybody to go out and be rock stars when they leave here, and that's probably the most special part of coaching.
Gotta love that philosophy. Thank you so much for your time on this episode of the podcast.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate all your help.
All right. Best of luck to Coach Dave Schlabaugh and the Rams as they embark on the 2024-2025 campaign. Speaking on behalf of the Cornell College Rams, my name is Jumpin' Jack Carlson, signing off for this episode of the podcast, inviting you to follow the Cornell Rams social media platforms as to when the next episode of the podcast will drop. I'll see you next time.
Let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!